questions, we can ask them.
Absolutely. I first want to say thank you for having me again. It's my pleasure being here to answer your questions. I believe at the last meeting we had discussed that I would be able to come back to you with basically an understanding of the number of courses that we're going to be not offering next year due to the staffing reductions, and I'm prepared to speak with that, and that was my understanding is what I was going to speak about. Is that correct? So we solicited the principals at all of the high schools to, once we had provided them their final staffing numbers and within what departments, how that would impact their program of studies for the school. And the principals had given us the list of courses that they were not going to be offering. I put that information into our board updates that went out last week. And when you look at our overall Manchester program of studies, all of the courses that are offered within the district, there are 90 courses that are not going to be offered next year. That leaves us with remaining over 250 courses that are still going to be offered. So I want to make sure that people are aware that there is still a large number of courses that are going to be continuing to be offered. But the 90 is a representation of the courses that are not being offered due to the staffing reductions. And that is for Memorial, Central, and West as a total accumulation. So I said that I would provide you an understanding of the number of courses that are being offered. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have regarding that.
Mr. Jersey, could you give us a general idea of what subject areas or where they come from? In basic, not in total detail, but.
I'll be happy to. Basically, they span across the majority of the departments: English, social studies, science, health, business education, technology education, world languages, art. That spans the majority of them. And what we saw was the majority of the reduction of courses in that total of 90 was at Central, and then the next in line would be Memorial, and then West. You were looking at basically your total allotment of 90 was Central taking the bulk of that, because I want to give the reasoning for that, and that is because Central offers the largest number of courses as well. So there weren't as many courses that could be reduced in Memorial and West. And the reason why Central offers more courses is because it has the largest student population within the high schools in Manchester, and also has the largest number of staffing. Therefore, the course load within the program of studies is higher than the other schools. Therefore, you saw a larger reduction because there were more courses to be reduced.
Just follow up. So I know you may not be offering a certain level, say in English or certain subjects, and that counts in there. Are there any that you know of subjects that are totally eliminated, say foreign languages, or anything that will not be offered at all next year that you know of?
As for content areas, there isn't anything within a department that's been completely eliminated. There are specific levels that might be eliminated. Take, for example, world languages, like maybe just throw it out there, French for level 2 might be one of the courses that's not being offered. That doesn't mean that we're not offering French courses, because they are, they go from French all the way up to French 5, and then there's levels within those. So there are still sections that are being offered within those specific content areas. So there was a complete elimination of a specific department course.
Mr. Tersey, could you forward us a list of the actual courses that have been cut?
Yes, I'll be happy to. I'll get that to Dr. Littlefield, and you can disperse to the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it still too early to discuss class size and what that looks like at Central and West?
Well, as I said at the last meeting, we really don't give out basically, in my opinion, a valid picture of class size until October 1st, because of, at the high school level, the number of students that alter their schedules between the first day of school. That first week, there's a lot of changes. But at the high school level, you're looking at averages anywhere from 25 into the upper 30s for your courses. And again, that varies depending on the course and the level of the course. But I would say with these that you're looking at an average of 25 to over 30 in your courses.
How were students notified if they were taking one of these 90 courses that were reduced? Have students been notified yet that they need to make other selections at this time, or is that still too early?
It's still too early at this point. I believe that the schools are going to put together a process to inform students of that. This happens every summer if they're not offering a specific course, not to the degree that we're seeing it this summer because of the staff reductions. But these schools do communicate with the parents and the students if their schedule is going to change.
Is the Manchester School District continuing to explore the option of utilizing some of the colleges that are housed within Manchester to offer some of these courses that are being eliminated?
Yes, we are.
I believe the last time, it's somewhat of a technicality, but you can direct them to the board and they'll be responded to. But if we can just go through the board and then we'll open it up. Anyone else?
Maybe repeat questions from Mike and Trish.
I'm sorry?
My questions were answered
Oh,
by
okay.
Trish.
Can I ask, does the Manchester administration believe that the state standards are being met with the current class offerings and the amount of teachers that are there?
We are meeting all the state requirements for high school graduation through our course offerings. And when you talk about ED 306, which is your minimum standards for school approval, you'll see within there, particularly around class sizes, that the wording is in there that mentions strive to meet those standards. Again, they're guidelines and not specific requirements, and we're staying within that wording of striving to meet those requirements. But as for high school graduation requirements, all of those courses and all of that availability of those courses has not changed for the students in Manchester.
And I'll ask somewhat of a piggyback question. Does the administration believe, based on their interpretation of the agreement that Hooks has with Manchester, that the agreement is being fulfilled?
I personally don't know all of the wording within the agreement. I think that would be a discussion that Dr. Littlefield and Dr. Bryan would have. But I do believe that, again, we're not at the beginning of the school year yet. This is still all preliminary information that's being provided, and I think you will have stronger answers come the beginning of the school year when particularly the course selections are finalized, class sizes are finalized. It's still too early to really give you, in my opinion, the straightforward answer that you're looking for.
Mr. Tercey, you didn't mention Manchester School of Technology. Could you just give us an overview? Has that been affected by course reduction as well?
No, it has not. Manchester School of Technology is still moving forward with their transformational model as a 4-year school. And again, the 2-year program is still intact. There are no changes to the 2-year program. It's the 4-year program that we're really focusing on. And actually, the Manchester School of Technology is coded by the state as 2 separate schools. The 2-year program is one school, the 4-year program is another. And we're working very well and moving forward with the proposal that was approved by the Department, I should say conditional approval by the Department of Education for the 4-year program, and putting the staffing in place as well as the instructional model that goes along with that new program. We're very excited about it. It's very promising for MST. So they're not seeing the effects of this at this point of any of the staff reductions or course eliminations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
How do those class, the elimination of classes, how does that relate to the number of teachers? What's the staff reduction relative to those class eliminations?
It's actually the flip of your question. It's the course reduction is due to the number of staffing that was reduced. And as I said at the last meeting, we're roughly a little over 100 staff that were reduced for last year in comparison to last year. So based on the total number of staffing, and that's K to 12 that I'm referring to, is that over 100, roughly over 100 staff that were reduced. At the high school level, the impact was, as I said, that 90 courses that were reduced because of the overall reduction within the high school.
Maybe I can word it clearer. Do we know what the staff reduction is for the 3 high schools? Or I'll say for Central and West?
At this point, we don't have the specific number because we're still in the process of recalls. And when we go through a process of recalling teachers, they have an opportunity to basically choose positions if there are positions available within the district. So we don't have that final number right now because we're still in the recall process. There's still a handful of transfers that are happening right now, so those numbers haven't shaked out at this point. Be happy to come back at a later date to give you more specific figures, particularly as we approach the beginning of the school year, once the school year begins.
Are we scheduled for the next meeting? Did we schedule both? No, just
I don't
one?
think so, no.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, before I open it up? Not that we can't ask after, but, okay, and it's really a technicality, but I'll ask that you direct your questions to the board, and then,
I was gonna ask it at some point. I was just curious more about.
no, you want to come up to the, sit at the table?
I'm Kara Salvis. I actually teach at the Nashua Community College, and we have programs with students from, say, Londonderry High School. There's a Bridges program, and they come in and take courses where we can help them to be able to graduate high school. So that's what I'm wondering when you said that, Trish, about looking at the resources we have in town. You said your only answer was yes, we're looking at it. I just wanted more information. What are you looking at? Who are you looking at? What are you planning to offer?
Please.
Thank you. The conversations that we've been having, I should say that Dr. Brennan has been having, have been with Southern New Hampshire University, the New Hampshire Community Colleges as well. Particularly, we've been looking at Manchester in general. Also been having conversations with UNH Manchester. And, you know, I know that the intent is to basically cast a larger net. And I'd be very curious to know how you're providing Londonderry students their opportunities. So, if you can give me a call or at some point. Or?
I don't run the program. I just know it's offered from Londonderry to Nashua, but it's called the Bridges program.
Great.
Yeah, I've had a couple students that do it, and they're all at different levels of, ability. So.
Which would be great. I would like to know that information because we're very interested in offering as many opportunities as we can, particularly within the community colleges or the universities.
Okay, thanks.
Please do. Thank you.
Debbie here, 47 Joanne Drive. When you were talking in previous meetings about different opportunities for the students, if there weren't enough kids in a class, that possibility could be like video conferencing between the different high schools or whatever. That was talked about like 6 years ago when my oldest daughter had started high school, and I'm just wondering, is it really being looked into? Do you have the equipment available to do it? So is it a real possibility that they're really going to look into it?
Please.
It's definitely something that we are currently looking into, and I'll state publicly it's one of my professional goals that I've stated for this year to really focus on being able to provide virtual learning within the district. And again, it's something that is on my radar as one of my top priorities. Therefore, we're working specifically with our IT department district-wide and focusing on particularly how we can do that from one classroom to another. We've talked about utilizing Skype as one of those basically components, platforms, if you will, and outfitting one classroom and in one school and outfitting a classroom in another with an audio setup as well as a video setup in order to allow opportunities for students in one school to access the instruction that's happening in another school. Therefore, we can really open up our overall high school program of studies regardless of what school the course is being offered at. So as I said, it's one of my professional goals for this year that we're focusing on, and we've been having those conversations, and the conversation has been very strong since the end of last school year. It's something that we need to do that we'll continue to look into.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? I thank you.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure. As I said, anytime, I'm more than happy to come back and speak with the board and the community. Sure, and I'll get that list to Dr. Littlefield for your request.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Dana, I have a question. I actually have a question for you, not
Okay.
necessarily for Mr. Tracy. Haven't we already invited Dr. Brennan and Mr. Tracy back for our next August meeting and then the beginning of October?
I thought we had, I actually asked Dr. Littlefield that earlier, and he didn't seem to think we had, but I thought we had.
I thought we had also.
Our assumption is that you'll have more information in 2 weeks. And if it meets with your schedule, we'd love to have you come back.
What is the date?
It's the 21st. If you can get back, maybe check your calendar and back to,